Whenever we tolerate or settle for anything less than what we desire and deserve, we end up with exactly what we tolerated and settled for. I mean, that's simple math, right? You put up with you got. And then we wonder why everywhere we go, people tend to treat us the same. How come all women tend to ghost me? How come all women disrespect me? We are co creating situations that are an external manifestation of our internal lack of self respect. Remember, people can't treat us better than we treat ourselves. And respect from others begins with respect for self. And it begins up here between our own ears. Love the timeline. I check in regularly just because I like to see what's going on. I have fun. I like responding. So I just want to give a shout out to all of you guys that have been blowing up the timeline, making it real, making your own, not just making noise, not just putting trivial stuff up there. I mean, that's my job, put trivial stuff up. You guys are putting real, meaningful stuff up. And one of the discussions I saw a couple weeks ago, 2, 3 weeks ago, was about, I think it's from one of our coaches. He was talking about just in the dating world, how he realized he hadn't had self-respect. He'd let women that he interacted with, um, disrespect him. And he wasn't blaming anybody. He was taking full ownership of his own lack of self-respect. And I'm not demanding, not expecting respect from other people, and therefore accepting disrespectful behavior. And I was reading that and I thought, that'd be such a good subject to dive into. And our aspiration series is really a living, breathing document. There's 16 of them. I've already decided we're gonna add a couple more to it. I promised we'd be done with the aspiration series by the end of the year, and I was joking because but it may bump us right up into December. So I got to thinking about self-respect. And in putting these lessons together, honestly, it's been a challenge. I really started working on them a week ago when I was in Austin, Texas. And kind of my brain was just scrambled about how to approach this. And I haven't really had that kind of mental challenge to put a lesson together in 25 years when I was writing the lessons for Nice Guys Don't Finish Last, They Rot in Middle Management. And I wanted to write a lesson on abundance thinking. And it was challenging. I couldn't get, I never get a writer's block, but it was challenging to get something on paper, so to speak, that felt meaningful to me. And it dawned on me the reason I was having a problem writing a lesson about abundance is I was a deprivation thinker, right? That was my way of viewing myself in the world, was through a lens of deprivation. And how the fuck was I going to write about living, with an abundance mindset when it wasn't my mindset? I'd have to make it up. It wasn't you guys know the majority of things I teach just come right out of my own life, my own experience. So in that case, I started a gratitude practice with a friend I'd met at a 12-step program. I just separated from my second wife when doing this. No More Mr. Nice Guy was about to come out in paperback. And through starting a gratitude practice, it really started creating an abundant mindset. And I just sat down and wrote it. It's still one of my favorite chapters, lessons that I've ever written. So that lesson then came easier once I integrated it into my life. Okay, the self-respect lesson has been kind of like that. Um, when I was, like I said, in Austin, I went out and took like several long walks. It's hot, so hot there in the day. So this was like, after dark. I'm walking around the neighborhood. It's a great neighborhood. It's near University of Texas. A lot of, food trucks, a lot of bars. It was just a great place to go walking. Then I walked around behind the Texas State Cemetery, where they buried every dignitary from the ever born and lived in the state of Texas. And I just kept doing this loop, just pondering, all right, how am I going to approach self-respect? And I realized this was a challenging lesson because of my own personal self-respect throughout most of my life. As a nice guy, I had not respected myself. My own behavior had not been characteristic, always with my own standards. Therefore, I let other people kind of get away with having no standards. I didn't even learn about boundaries till I was in my 30s. And even, in recent history, I haven't always been proud of my own behavior, i.e., self-respect. And I've certainly not been happy with behavior I tolerated from other people. So this lesson has come together in a way that I've just kind of let it flow. And instead of me trying to direct it, okay, it's got to look like this, it's turned into 3 lessons. And I'm actually really excited about it. Um, Part one, I taught on the Alpha Call last week, and that was on developing personal character. And if you haven't listened to that, if you weren't on that call, some of you were, a lot of you were actually, go back and listen to that recording. I think it'd be meaningful and give you good perspective for this lesson. This is going to be part two, how we give away, how we lose our self-respect. And then later today, which will be evening my time for the Omega Brotherhood call, we're going to talk about how hard work and respect, self-respect go together. So in talking about character last week, one of the things I shared is that I've never liked the word character. And I don't know if because I've never liked people imposing their idea of what character is on me, or I've never been actually drawn to the people that preached character. And I thought, I don't want to be like them. I don't really like this idea about personal character. But the more I made these laps walking, I thought, you know what? When I haven't had personal self-respect, when I've acted in ways that maybe I later had shame or remorse or regret or what the fuck was I thinking? It was because of a lack of personal character. It was a lack of an internal guidance system, of basically a set of rules that I created to guide my life to live consistently so I could live with self-respect. And what I've concluded is our biggest character mistakes is either accepting somebody else's definition of character and what it should look like in us. I did that with my parents' religion, with my parents' rules or lack of them, with society's lack of rules of them. Or the second character mistake is we've never created a moral roadmap of our own. And so you cannot have character without some kind of inner guide, some inner roadmap, some listing. So what we did on the call last week, this was really fun. If you guys have ever done in my dating essentials material, read Dating Essentials for Men, in there, I have people reading, or the people in my classes, and I've done this with so many men in workshops, create a 5 and 5. And this is how you find a really great woman, really great match. Because if you don't know what you're looking for, you'll bring anything home and keep it around, right? When it comes to dating and relationship. So by creating a 5 and 5, it's real simple. You take a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle. Left side is have to haves. For a woman to be a really great match, to be a really great woman for me, she has to have these characteristics. Now, 5 isn't magic, but 5 and 5 just kind of sounds cool. So 5 have to haves. It's got to be available, got to be respectful, got to be loving, got to be passionate, got to be honest, got to be intelligent, got to, what are the haves to haves? The other side, right side of the papers, won't tolerate. If a woman does any of these 5 things, or 12, whatever, she's not a really great match. And sometimes what you won't tolerate is just the other flip side of what you have to have. If honesty is a have to have, well, dishonesty is you won't tolerate. So, the won't tolerates are, angry, moodiness, disrespect, unavailability. And you use this to chart finding a really great woman, a really great match. And if she doesn't have your list of what you have to have, she's not a really great match. Don't try to squeeze her into that. If she has behaviors that you've said you won't tolerate, and you can usually tell what a guy's most previous ex girlfriend or wife, whatever, was like by their 5 and 5 list. You can tell what they were tolerating by their will not tolerate list, right? You can tell what what they have to have by what the woman didn't have, right? So we took the 5 and 5 concept and we applied it to personal character. What are five have to haves of your own North Star, your own guiding light, your own I have to live this way list to be living with integrity and self-respect. And then the right side of what we won't tolerate about ourselves. If we do anything that's on that right side of the list, we're not respecting ourselves. We're not living with character. We're out of integrity. So, deceit, lying, uh, no boundaries, trying to impress people. If it's so if you haven't done that list, again, go listen to the recording. It's on the members page. Create your own 5 and 5 character list. I've got it in my journal. And just like I did with 5 and 5 lists for the women I dated, I kept refining it, updating it, honing it down to where it was just a few solid gems that guided me. Do the same thing as your character list, the 5 and 5s. What you have to be living with self-respect, and 5 things that help you recognize you're out of integrity, out of character, not living with self-respect. Sound good? How many of you actually did that? Some of you are on the call with me last week. I know some of you've already done that. Yeah. If you haven't, do it. It's one of these things that it won't do any good if you don't do it. But I think it's a powerful practice. Okay. So let's go to part 2. How we lose or give away our self-respect. I'm gonna give a list of things of where we haven't lived with the kind of self-respect that we expected, demanded, called out other people to treat us similarly with respect. Now, I'm going to read a few. Let me give you some examples. A situation where somebody dismissed or ignored you, and you just took it, just kind of went with that. Maybe somebody was taking you for granted. Might have been at work, might have been a family member, might have been a friend, might have been a girlfriend or a wife. A relationship in which the other person took but didn't give. Maybe somebody repeatedly violated your boundaries. Maybe somebody was verbally abusive to you, maybe physically abusive, emotionally abusive. Somebody that was consistently critical, hurtful, demeaning of you. Maybe somebody blamed you or gaslit you regularly. Was always just projecting their shit onto you, and you either took it or you argued with them or you defended yourself. Maybe somebody repeatedly ghosted you, wouldn't show up when they said they were going to. Again, this might be a friend, might be a family member, might be a partner, might be a woman you were trying to date. Maybe somebody who compared or judged you. Again, a partner, family member. Maybe someone who dismissed your opinion, your wants, or your desires, just kind of ignored you. My second wife, I try not to tell too many second wife stories. But I was thinking about this one the other day. Is that my second wife, if you disagreed with her opinion on anything, music, a meal, a movie, something in life, if you disagreed with her, she either thought you were a liar or a fucking idiot, because she couldn't think of any other reasons why you wouldn't think exactly the way she thought about everything, because she just assumed she was right. So if you had a difference of opinion, she'd go off on you for being a liar, or she'd just go off on you for being a fucking idiot because you disagreed with her. So I've had my opinions dismissed before. Somebody weaponized the truth against you. I'm just telling the truth, but you got a hole blown in the middle of you. Okay, there's some in the chat box. Let me take a look at these real quick. Past relationships. Punish one mistake I made. She asked me for money and I gave it to her. Last week at work, some of my coworkers' jokes were getting annoying and I didn't say anything. My previous job, someone undermined me in front of a client. I had a problem with finding courage to talk with my neighbor who listens to loud music. I got a bar across the street that plays loud music. His teenage daughter sometimes makes comments that diminishes him. Teenage daughters do that? Oh my God. One time my business partner was proposing me some new business partners. I wasn't happy about them, but I still agreed because I didn't want to argue. Another one, relationship with ex. She cheated 2 times with the same person, and I still gave her another chance. I've always heard never give a woman a second chance to show you the door. Man, don't give her a third chance, man. Okay, good. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This is a room of nice guys where because we lacked self-respect, we tolerated disrespect from other people. Okay. So how does this happen? How did we get to this place that I mean, all these things that I read, this is all real life stuff going on. So how do we get to this place of not having the kind of respect that let these kind of things happen? Okay, I've broken it down to 3 core pieces. There are probably many, but on one of my walks, these 3 came to me. They seem to really be a good way to breaking down the idea. So 3 common nice guy patterns that lead to a self-respect that leads to a lack of respect from others. One is pursuing, a second is tolerating, and a third is neglecting. So let's take a look at each 3. One is pursuing. Such a common nice guy trait to go looking for things outside of ourselves, seeking approval from somebody else, seeking external validation. Like me, like me. We do it, we learn to do it in family to survive. We've probably done it with friends. We've done it at work. We've done it with partners. We've done it with women we wanted. We do it on social media. Oh, look how many likes I got. Look how many followers I've got. See, pursuing approval outside of ourselves, so pursuing validation. Approve that I'm good, I'm desirable, I'm sexy, I'm handsome, I'm smart. Of course, pursuing love. In our series on love, the key piece we talked about love is we're not going to find love outside of us. Love begins inside of us, and so does self-respect. All respect begins inside, and love is exactly the same way. And just like we can't let anybody love us more than we love ourselves, and we can't love anybody more than we love ourselves, why would anybody respect us more than we respect ourselves? And honestly, we probably won't respect other people if we don't respect ourselves. I've acted disrespectfully to people I cared about, mainly because I let them disrespect me, mainly because I did not respect me. See, that's where it begins. So when we go looking for approval, validation, love, praise, recognition outside of ourselves, when we're pursuing it and expecting somebody else to give it to us, the flip side of that is we'll take whatever they give us. I will settle for whatever they give us. I talk in No More Mr. Nice Guy about being table dogs. Oh, love me, love me, love me. Okay, I'll take that little scrap that you just kind of brush my way. No self-respect in table dogs. But that's such a strong nice guy pattern because of our pursuit. Self-respect says, I am complete. I am enough. Self-respect says, I have what they want, and they must earn or deserve what I've got. Think about that. Self-respect says, I'm enough. And it's recognizing you've got what the world wants instead of you pursuing what the world has and trying to get them to give it to you. Self-disrespect says, I'm incomplete. I'm not enough. They have what I want, and I have to put up with shit or give up what is important to me to get it from them. You guys feel the difference, right? Self-respect, I'm enough. I've got what they want. Self-disrespect, I'm incomplete. They've got what I want. Therefore, I've got to tolerate intolerable situations to get it from them. That land makes sense? Yeah, it does for me. When we don't self-validate, don't love ourselves, don't approve of ourselves, we tend to pursue, listen to this, we pursue the least validating, least loving, and most unapproving people to try to get what we never got as children and don't give to ourselves today. You ever know that? Notice that? When we've got this need for external validation, do you go out and find people that tend to give you a lot of validation? No. You find the least available, least validating, least approving people you could find. Because we're actually trying to unwind something from childhood where we didn't get respected. We didn't get approval. We didn't get love. We didn't get validation. And so to prove to ourselves in some perverted, hero's journey that I am lovable and good enough, we got to go pick the least available, least loving, least respectful people we could find and try to get them to love us and treat us well. Then we'll get this perverted sense, okay, I must be good enough after all. I mean, you can't pick the easy table. You got to go, for the professional disrespecters. If I can climb this Mount Everest of disrespect, then it will prove I'm worthy of respect. Make sense? No, it doesn't make any sense, but it's what we do. It's what we do. So self-respect's got to begin with us finding out we're enough. We're enough. We've got what they want. Right? Tolerating. This makes, a lot of sense. Is if we start tolerating things, we're gonna get what we tolerate. So ironically, we tolerate not just stuff from other people, their disrespect, their abuse, their ghosting, their non-reciprocal relationships where we do all the giving, they do all the taking. Maybe the biggest issue is what we tolerate from ourselves. Tolerate our own negative thought talk. Tolerate our own self-criticism or judgment. When you look in the mirror, do you like what you see, or do you criticize yourself? Do you pick at the one flaw you see? The comparisons we make of comparing ourselves to others, judging ourselves by some arbitrary standard, finding ways we're not good enough. Hurtful ruminations. How much time do you spend ruminating about your perceived mistakes in your past? Missed opportunities, fuck ups. I tell you what, if you replay them enough times, you're going to feel like a fuck up. Those ruminations of judging and comparing yourself. Just, these self-limiting beliefs we keep repeating and reinforcing. Neglecting ourselves. We're going to come back to that in a minute. If what's going on inside of us is not respectful, it's going to manifest outside of us. That's what people are going to see. So whenever we tolerate or settle for anything less than what we desire and deserve, we end up with exactly what we tolerated and settled for. I mean, that's simple math, right? You put up with shit, you got shit. And that's just the way it is. And then we wonder why everywhere we go, people tend to treat us the same. How come all women tend to ghost me? How come all women disrespect me? How come all women, blah, 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 fill in the blank? How come every job I've got, my coworkers, blah, blah, blah. How come every boss I have is such a jerk to me, right? We are co-creating and perpetuating situations that are an external manifestation of our internal lack of self-respect. That makes sense? I do that. So if you want to raise the bar of your life, of the respect you get from partner, friends, women, co-workers, bosses, strangers, waiters, right? You've got to raise the bar by starting with yourself. Be kind, be caring, be patient, be gentle with you. When you notice that internal thoughts talk, the ruminations, the criticism, the judgment, lovingly be the observer of it and ask, what's going on here? How do I need to be more loving, more approving, more accepting of myself? So be kind and caring and gentle with yourself. And don't be a mean motherfucker to yourself. Because if you're a mean motherfucker to you, guess what other people are going to reflect back to you? They're going to be mean motherfuckers. If you don't take good care of you, why is anybody else going to take good care of you? If you don't respect you, why is anybody else going to respect you? Remember, people can't treat us better than we treat ourselves. And respect from others begins with respect for self. And it begins up here between our own ears. Okay, point 3, neglecting. Now, when it comes to neglect, This is all in our control. Think about the things you neglect about you. Your sleep. Now, I'm not one to, I can't preach to you about sleep while I'm up at 2:33 a.m., teaching you a lesson. But I was in bed by 9:30, right? And I wear a Whoop to track my sleep, to make sure I give myself enough sleep, because that's a foundation of everything. That's self-respect. How many of you, and I've noticed especially with guys with ADHD, you stay up too late consistently, every late. Oh, one more thing to do. One more show to watch on Netflix. One more email to answer. You know, one more whatever. And next thing you know, it's not only 11 p.m., midnight, it's 1 a.m. It's 2 a.m. You got to get up at 6 a.m., at 7 a.m. Then you end up sleeping in too much, or you do get up and you go try to do your job or interact, and you feel like shit. You're groggy, you're worthless because you didn't get enough sleep. That's self-respect. When you make yourself get to bed. I found out from wearing Aura rings and Whoop bracelets, I get my best sleep, both in terms of deep sleep, REM sleep, and quantity of sleep. For that to happen, I got to be in bed by 9:30. Lights out by 10. Not reading, lights out. And once I get in that habit, 6, 7 a.m., I'm awake. I'm ready to go. I feel good. Check the Whoop app. Yeah, I got my deep sleep. I got my REM sleep. I got my sufficient 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Okay. But when we neglect these basics, we neglect our health, when we neglect exercising regularly, when we neglect our nutrition, when we eat like crap, eat fast food, just eat whatever we happen to find available, when we neglect relaxation, just letting our body recreate itself. When we neglect social connection, you know, how many of you, for example, one of the things I've just loved about Integration Nation is it's all about connection. That's just bottom line. It's all about connection. And I see so many familiar faces here because you come to calls, you're on timelines. Have you ever, when you got in a self-neglectful mode, just not logged in for a little while, not made the calls you usually make, and you feel worse? And then maybe you get yourself to a call, and after you get on the call and you get done, you're smiling, you're happy, you're energized. You go, what the fuck? Why did I miss this? This feels too good. That's social connection. We're social creatures. We need a daily dose of social connection. Maybe we get most of it virtually in some. I live at home, I work at home, I work out at home. I do most things at home. So most of my connections come virtually. Messaging, phone, Zoom, that's okay. But like when I was in Austin, every day I made social connection. I had a few meals there. I did a peyote ceremony. I even going and getting a new tattoo. Just had a great conversation with the guy doing the tattoo. I'd given him my book before, and halfway through the tattoo, he says, I didn't read it because I thought it was kind of a shitty title. Why would anybody want to not be a nice guy? This is a guy, a former 20-year heroin addict, crack cocaine addict, drug dealer, been to prison twice. His body is tattooed head to toe, and he thought that the book might be teaching him to be not nice. He really is a genuinely good man. I really, really enjoyed the whole process. I was even in a out of town. I was connecting with people, right? We need it. And when we neglect this stuff, it's a lack of self-respect. Our body is the temple of the soul, right? Without getting religious here, if God dwells in all of God's creation, the creator of the cosmos is dwelling in us because every atom in our body existed at the Big Bang. Physicists will tell us that no new energy is created or lost. That's a law of physics. That means every atom in our body has existed since day one of creation, whatever that means, whatever that looked like. Even Einstein didn't even know what the Big Bang looked like. The smartest people on the planet don't know, but what we do know is that every atom in our body has existed for all of existence. And we're going to neglect that. We're going to disrespect that. That's like spitting in God's face. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's neglect. And it's so much in our own power. Here's the truth. We invest in that which we value. We take care of that which we value. We spend time with that which we value. You get yourself a nice new car. Guess what? You want to be in it a lot. You wash it regularly. You get the good wax job. You're in there getting it vacuumed out. You listen to good tunes in it. You take good care of it because you value it. So we invest in which we value. So you want to know what you value? Watch what you invest in. Where's your energy go? Where's your focus go? Where does your time go? Where's your money go? That's what you're invested in. Are you invested in you? Sleep, taking care of your health, exercise, nutrition, relaxation, social connection. If you want to change what you value, change what you focus on, where you put your emphasis, as my Greek teacher used to say. You got to get the syllable on the right on the right part of the word, the asterisk on the right part. So if you're walking around tired, out of shape, underperforming, wasting time, dressing like a slob, not taking good care of yourself, how the fuck will anyone else see you as something of value and worthy of their respect? Make sense? We got to start with us. Okay. So how do we reclaim our self-respect and invite others to show us the same? One, stop pursuing. You're enough. You're enough. God doesn't make junk. You're enough. Two, stop tolerating. Don't expect others to treat you with more respect than you treat yourself. Treat yourself well. Never, ever let anyone treat you badly, especially you. Don't you treat you badly. And stop neglecting yourself. Treat yourself like you're someone you care about, and others will too. That's pretty simple math, isn't it? Treat you like you are someone you care about, and other people will too. That's a good question. That's one of those things where we talk about integration is integrating what seem like maybe contradictory parts of ourselves. I can be a dick, but I'm not a dick. I'm very loving by nature, but sometimes I act in unloving ways. So this is maybe one of those two things of holding two things that seem contradictory and holding them at the same time, is that you are complete. You are enough. And this is thinking in terms of your self-value, your value as a human, as a person. You used to be able to do this. I don't know if you can still do it anymore, but you could go to a hospital, where babies are born. And, the newborn babies, they'd line them up in the nursery, in the window, and it'd just say, baby, boy, baby, girl, whatever. And they're all wrapped up and bundled. And I used to tell people, go look at these little babies and ask yourself, what do they need to do to be more lovable? What do they need to do to be more perfect? They were born perfect. They were born lovable. They're born enough. And we were all one of those little babies. We came into this world perfect, enough, lovable. Now, that's where we got to get back to, right? Those babies didn't have to do anything to get more lovable, to be more enough. They were enough, right? And as part of this human existence, we can do better at things to be more loving, to take better care of ourselves, to be a better friend, to save more money, not because it makes us more lovable or a better person. It just makes life better. Okay. And it also feels better. Don't you feel better when you act in a disciplined way, when you get some exercise, you get to bed on time, you set a boundary, you say, no, I'm not going to let you talk to me that way. If you want to hang out with me, you have to do it like this. Doesn't that feel better? Now, did you become a better person? No, but it feels better and it makes life better, and probably makes people want to be around us more when we're doing that good self-care and loving ourselves. So you're lovable. You were born lovable. You can't do anything to be more lovable. And that didn't go away either, right? You didn't become less lovable at some point. You just lost sight of it because of just our experiences in life. So what we have to get sight of again is we were born perfect. That's not going to get better, and it's not going to go away. It's enough. And we can get up and do better every day.